Abba Pohman was a 5th century monk that taught in all circumstances the right question to ask is, who am I? Who am I? Well, I'm Aaron Everick. I'm a husband, a student pastor, and I'm a dad to 2 cats. I'm a native Texan and a Virginia transplant. If you would have asked me that question in high school, though, you would have gotten a drastically different answer. I would have said, I'm an athlete. I'm the kicker. I'm a Christian. More so, middle school Aaron would have said something like, I'm shy. I'm awkward. I'm hungry. I was always hungry at that age. But I've noticed a pattern when we describe ourselves to others. We tend to share our insecurities or things we don't like about ourselves, or the things that we do. Typically, the things that we do well. The only problem with that, though, is we are not what we do. We are made up of a mind, a body, and a spirit. Who we are as a person is enough. But at times we become so invested with what we do, our actions become our identifiers. We become our roles. So let me pose a question to you. Let's say you had to lose a limb. Say it's one of your arms. With the loss of that arm, would you stop being yourself? No. Yourself will have changed in a drastic manner, but you're still you. Now, let's exercise the same question with something we might be or do. Let's say I'm a social media influencer and I have 500,000 followers. And let's say I do something that makes me lose all of them, and essentially my platform as well. Would I no longer be myself? When our identity is concerned with who we are, as versus what we do, we realize that we are enough. Our value has to come from within, as versus from outside of us. To me, one of the most powerful stories in the Bible is Exodus chapter 3. Moses is out in the wilderness tending to the sheep. As he's following some along, he sees a bush burning. Like a moth to the flame, he approaches it, and as he gets closer, he hears a voice calling, Moses, Moses. Moses approaches, and the voice says, this is holy ground. Take off your sandals. The voice identifies itself as the voice of the God of Moses' ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God shares about God's concern with the people who are enslaved in Egypt. God shares of a concern for their suffering and their heartache. And God shares with Moses that he is calling him to go to Egypt to free these people. And Moses responds with a question, who am I? Interestingly enough, God doesn't answer that question, but instead answers affirming Moses, Moses, I will be with you. Moses is like, okay. What about this question? What do I say when the people ask, who sent me? God answers, I am who I am. God is giving the instruction to Moses that when the people ask, he is to say, the I am sent you. You see, God's identity is wrapped up in being among God's people. It's about who they are that makes who God is. That identity that God has is within us. And it's this calling to be among God's people, and it's this calling to be a child of God that Moses receives in this story that also extends to us today. We share this same identity with Moses, to be among God's people and to be counted as one of God's children. It's when we take this on and we are just being with God as one of God's own that we become who we are meant to be. Is that who we are becoming? So this is my challenge to you this week. As you continue to reflect on these thoughts of identity and becoming who we are meant to be versus what we think we need to do, take out a piece of paper. On one side, write, I am as a being. And on the other, I am as a doer. And list out on each side the things you are and the things that you do. And as you make that list, sit and consider what is the truth that you are expressing. And explore what identifiers you find comfort and truth in for yourself.